Hello Commandos, I want to give a big shout out to our channel members. These guys support the channel and help create the high quality gameplay content. You guys rock. Go Commando. Hello everyone, welcome to Dice Commando and the Commando Cast. I'm Andrew here with you in my office today instead of the normal studio because what I want to do today is go through a recent release by Renewed Hope, which is the continuing committee, whatever you want to call it, of Destiny, and what that means for the game going forward. Hey guys, so like I said, what I want to do today is I want to actually go through the posted article that was up on the Renewed Hope website, actually show you that website. And the reason I want to do this, even though it was actually posted on May 3rd a couple weeks ago, the reason I wanted to go through it is I think a lot of people, there's a fair number of people out there who don't know what's going on necessarily with that because this was posted on their website. If you didn't know that existed, well, you do now, and here's that info. And then furthermore, it also went up on their Discord, but I know that some people aren't on the Discord. I haven't seen much speak of it on the global pages, so I figured I'd get everybody kind of in tune with that. Also, because there was some discussion this last week on the global Facebook page about, has there been any news? Well, now there's two committees competing, so I want to make sure everyone's kind of aligned with really what's going on and kind of the news and developments, because there's a lot of really exciting stuff about this for the future of the game. So what I'm going to do is just go through the article first, and we'll kind of chat about what it means later. All right, so first off, we are at renewedhope.com. That is swdrenewedhope.com. That is the hub for the continuing committee, right? They've got the website, they're organized, they've got stuff going, so that's good. So this was originally this did go up the weekend of what would have been Worlds. They were going to make some announcements kind of after Worlds and everything shut down. Really, a lot of that makes sense because they didn't want to compete with anything that FFG had coming. Hopefully, ideally, right, there would have been some announcements about, all right, hey, thanks, we're done, we're out, and at that point they can take over, and that way there's no conflict or, it doesn't appear that they're trying to throw shade on anything that FFG could be doing, which of course could lead them into potential legal problems or something like that, right? So I think the way that they're doing this is really smart. So let's go through the article. So instead of an article full of cards and complete rundown of the goals and desires for the 11th set of Destiny, we're here to give you a more skeletonized version of the same alongside a status update. So what set 11 is? Saying set 11 is boring and repetitive. Now, just to take an aside, right, why are we talking set 11? Well, remember, so Covert Missions was set 9, Wild Horizons would have been set 10. So these guys are obviously working on the set after that, which would have been set 11. So what they're saying is instead of just saying set 11 because it's boring and repetitive, they want to get the name up front. So they're announcing that it's called Faltering Allegiances. It is our pilot endeavor, and with it we hope to fulfill a new goals. Now, I do want to be clear when I'm saying we. I am literally reading from the website. I'm not taking any credit for this myself. I am presenting the information that they are bringing forward. So basically what they're saying, and again, you can read the article. We're not going to read it word by word because you can do that and you don't need me to do it. But what they're going to be doing with Faltering Allegiances is we will be giving solid incentives to play mono-colored decks. They said one of the issues the design team saw ongoing in Destiny was the fact that 3 wide rainbow-colored decks have reigned supreme. That's pretty much been since day one. I mean, Raider took Worlds, but the big deck back then was that Phasma Bala Trooper deck, right? Ever since then, the rainbow decks, it just makes sense. You have access to everything. So that's an exciting thing here that they're trying to target. Running mono decks again. That's kind of a neat. We haven't really seen that since really kind of the Stairs Kylo meta. Second, our orphan characters we saw, they have yet to find a home even in casual decks. By selectively putting a few of our characters, meaning newly developed characters, at perfect point pairings with those orphans, we're excited to see a few of the old guard find new life. That's kind of neat. There's I'm wondering, like, Padme might be an example. I have no info here, but right, Padme is a good example of someone who never could quite find a partner. She kind of had Saw, she kind of had Leia Bouche, but she never really saw, I think, a lot to get her in that potential. Remember, Padme is set 7. She's Convergence block, so she would be going forward. Third problem that they saw that they wanted to address was a lack of distinctiveness in many effects as they pertain to color or faction. Basically what they're saying is that we had kind of lost somewhat of the faction color identity, and I think that's actually true to some extent. I think red villain is pretty well defined. Red hero has a lot of the healing, and obviously, blue I think is pretty well defined, but there was a lot of overlap, especially between blocks actually, of what red used to have versus yellow. Yellow was kind of starting to get stuff that everybody had, so that's kind of neat. Fourth was to keep the game approachable. New players are hard to get for a game once there isn't marketing promotion budget, new starters, no stores pushing it, etc., right? So expect a couple straightforward and obvious character pairings with Falter Allegiances, but also at point costs that encourage experimentation, right? That's basic, good set design. I'm actually glad they're doing that instead of not just taking it forward, right? It's okay to have tribal. It's okay to have simple defined pairings, right? Just because they're not the best thing, that's great, and it's especially easy to do, and it's exciting to do in Star Wars when you can make it, Jyn Cassian, Spectre, stuff like that, right? I think it works really well. And then fifth is to encourage creativity and excitement. There's no better way to do that than introduce new ideas and novel concepts. So with that, let's go on to their announcement of Detect. So Detect is a new keyword on a card. After this card is activated, reveal a random card from an opponent's hand that is not detected. That card remains revealed until the end of the activation phase. Right, so I would have 5 cards in hand. You would, let's say, activate a character that says detect a card, and I would basically let you pick a card just as we do with discarding, and then that would go on the table. You would have visible access to it, but it would still be considered in my hand, right? So detected card, any cards in any player's hand that are revealed are considered to be detected. When the card is no longer in that player's hand or is no longer revealed, it stops being detected, right? So it's still functionally, for all game purposes, in my hand. It's just that you know what that one card is. And then, of course, it stands that they're going to build mechanics that are going to work with it. So their FAQ, what happened, basically answering questions that people may have on this, which this was a really well-written article, well done. Detected cards are still considered to be part of the hand or are still eligible to be discarded by effects that discard cards from hand, right? So functionally, for all intents and purposes, it's still part of the hand. They do kind of shout out that, yes, we realize you'll have to take that one particular card back in hand if you were to do like a random discard, but then it's really not that hard, right? Say, okay, card A goes down, I put it back in my hand, we do the discard. If card A is not the one that's discarded, you throw that back down on the table. You may have to do it slightly differently because, yes, you could potentially have doubles in your hand then or something like that, but can a detected card be played? Can it be used to further reroll the dice action? Yes. Detected cards are still part of the player's hand. They're just revealed. Okay. What if cards get revealed through another effect like probe or counterintelligence? Cards revealed by probe would cease to be detected upon completion of probe's effect since they would not remain valid afterward. Right. They'd be discarded. So, but otherwise, it's detected. It stays there. It's functionally part of your hand. So let me see it in action. Well, we haven't playtested everything to a degree of confidence where we feel comfortable sharing full cards. And also, and this is the smart part, we want to avoid any possible confusion with any official FFG release. So what they are doing instead is showing us what you can see here on the screen. They're showing us a couple of stuff from cards. Choose a detected card, then exchange it with the top card of its owner deck. The card from the deck is now detected, right? So what they're doing is they're using this new trait, this new keyword, this new mechanic to really just build a lot of stuff in their sets. Choose a detected card, discard that card to deal indirect damage to that card's owner equal to that's cost. That's pretty good. I'm betting that's like a 2-cost card, maybe 1 cost, or maybe it's very specific to some other character, right? Because it's not saying on there you could say somewhere else spot a character or something like that. I don't know. After the battlefield is claimed, you may give this character 1 shield for each detected card in an opponent's hand. Okay, that's clearly a character trait. Right, and then, of course, there's other stuff that they have to do. So they do have one note down here. I'm highlighting it right now. Most importantly, like Guardian and Piloting, the keyword is light enough and simple enough to carry forward wherever it makes thematic sense for future sets, right? So it could be in this set, could be in this set only, depending on how it goes, could be in the future, right? So FAQ, and this is not necessarily on Detect, this is on everything. So when will playtesting for Faltering Allegiances start? Within a month or so as of May 3rd, right? So we're closing in on a couple weeks. The current global crisis, the pandemic, necessitates other things taking priority, which makes sense. So if you are interested in being a playtester right on this site, there are applications for that, if that's something you want to do, and you would of course want to get involved with their Discord as well. When will Faltering Allegiances release? Shortly after FFG announced they've ceased all report and product releases for Destiny, which also makes sense, right? You don't want to get in trouble. How are spoilers going to be distributed? Content creators have an interest will be able to get at least one card to spoil ahead of time. And here's the big one, right? This is, I give them a lot of props for throwing this out. What if Wild Horizons doesn't release? Faltering Allegiances was specifically made to not require anything from Wild Horizons to work or make sense. That's really cool, right? So whether or not we see Horizons or not isn't going to affect set 11. I think that's really smart. The next part is, what if FFG doesn't announce they're done? The answer that they have for that is, again, pretty smart, right? Basically what they're saying is, we've been holding off on doing a lot of this stuff because we didn't want to interfere with FFG. What if FFG never actually does say that they're done with Destiny? What they're doing is they're basically drawing a line in the sand. They have some date that they're not publishing, and they're saying, look, if FFG just disappears, they go radio silent, they give us nothing, we've drawn a line in the sand where we think at some point it'll be okay to move forward, and they will be moving forward. FAQ, what's taking you so long? This is a lot of work. I can't imagine. Plus, with everything else going on and all the delays and all the uncertainty, it's probably taking them, or not probably, it's most certainly taking them longer. So I would hope that people aren't actually asking them the what's taking so long thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are people out there asking that. But yeah. So, and another thing that I have seen just by my own involvement on the Discord is they are planning on having, these cards will have unique dice. So it won't be like we're using old dice. You'll have to do stickers or proxies or something like that, right? But do expect that. So then what does, this is the discussion part. What does this actually mean for the game going forward, right? What it means, and what's very exciting, is that it means that rotation is actually live. So Mike and I had episode several months ago at this point. It was actually before the pandemic, which feels like a million years ago, where we were talking about how the future of the game may live in Infinite. That's kind of, we were talking about the Infinite future and how it may live there. I think that that's probably not correct, at least from this point of view, right? As the new sets continue to come out, these guys are planning for rotation, right? So we will see set 4, 5, 6, we'll see the Legacies block drop out when Wild Horizons come. I mean, it would have anyway. However, again, the plan here, or at least the original thesis statement of why Infinite would become the thing, was if we only had 10 sets, would we only be playing 4 of those? The answer was no. But the fact that we have more stuff coming down the pipeline, this fan-made, this organized play fashion, whatever you want to call it, definitely lends itself to rotation. They're going to have to, otherwise they make their job impossible. So that is a very interesting thing for us to start wrapping our heads around, is the impacts of rotation coming forward. Now, don't get me wrong, we are still, as of today, it is mid-May, right? We are still months away from dealing with this. And it could even be longer, especially if, right, let's say FFG comes out in August timeframe, and they say, all right, expect Wild Horizons in October. I mean, we could be looking at well into, and probably we are anyway, looking at well into 21 before we really have to deal with the set 11 type stuff. But it's not a small impact for those of us who are going to stay involved in the ongoing scene of Destiny, right? I mean, we are definitely looking at rotation, and that's not insignificant. So that was kind of my big takeaway. I want to thank the guys for doing all the work on this. It's not easy. You know, they said that they've got graphic designers, they've got obviously normal designers, they've got a legal team, which makes complete sense. Plus they've got just the people doing the day-to-day work, and people are going to have to organize tournaments and keep this all going. So please do not hesitate. If you want to get involved and help in some manner that you can, please don't hesitate to do that. They're going to need people, and they're going to need help. So that's pretty much all I have for today. I'm very excited about this release. I just wanted to make sure that everyone had heard about it, because I think it's worth going through. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have. So what do you guys think? Are you guys excited about it? Again, remember, I'm not the one running the set, right? So if you don't like that there's dice, I'm not the person to complain to about that, right? I do think it limits their design, right? It was one idea that I had to reuse the dice. It would have been great from a simplicity standpoint, but I can't imagine trying, like, it limits their design space so much to have to just use that. And these guys are really looking for a long-term solution, right? If they were designing just one set, it'd be a different argument, but they're not. They're looking forever, right? They want to keep it going forever. And the only way to do that is to not draw themselves into a corner from a design space. And I think that's completely reasonable. So, I think this is good news. Again, let me know what you guys are thinking, what you guys are excited for, and if nothing else, go Commando.
In partnership with We Tabletop, the event directory for tabletop gamers.